Literally, the environment was absent of love, and so was I. Like, I wasn't giving love, I wasn't receiving love. And this environment was not a loving environment. It was a cruel environment. I was in a maximum security prison. Inside that maximum security prison was a maximum security segregation unit. And underneath that maximum security segregation unit was what was called the basement, which was isolated cells kind of reserved for the state's worst inmates. Me and another inmate were down there for 2 years. And I spent the majority of that 2 years strapped to a steel cot just inches off the floor with my lights on 24/7. And they would have to hose me down because I couldn't get up to use the bathroom. And all my meals were being condensed into a loaf of bread, and I was being hand-fed by the security director who I felt I was at war at and was trying to kill me at the time. I'm not looking for sympathy in this story because I was that dangerous. I was acting out that dangerous. I earned that position, but you can see that two wrongs don't make a right. That's extremely dehumanizing, inhumane conditions, even though I was acting in the same fashion.
Right.
Somebody came to my cell, maybe after 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, and they did something, and you have to really understand this dynamic, right? You might not get it, but he knocked on my cell. You just got to think of how crazy that is. I'm in the basement, inside this prison, chained down. Nobody knocks on your door. You don't have visitors. People just open and close that door as they please. And he knocks on the door, and then he says, "I want to talk to you." I hadn't been talked to in years at this point. That interaction was above my head. I didn't understand any of it the way I do today. But I can tell you that it had an impact. That knock on that door planted a seed that really took hold years later. And it affected me, though. It affected me to the point, I did say I assaulted 8 more guards after that, severely, so much so that I was given convicted of new crimes against those officers. However, after each one of those assaults, I felt bad. But my response wasn't to respond to the feeling of hurt or shame, guilt. My response was to try to erase it by being more violent. But it wasn't working because the damage or the gift had already been done, right? Like, I was already affected in a way that I couldn't undo by this guy's simple act of compassion and empathy and kindness and love. And when I wrote him a letter from another prison, I said, "Hey, I don't know what you did to me. I don't appreciate it. Nobody gave you the right to do that to me." And he wrote me back a very simple letter. This was a staff of a maximum security prison. He says, "It doesn't matter what you do. I'm still going to love you." That was a deeply hurtful moment, but it was hurtful because it was ripping off the hate, the scabs of hate that were just encapsulated all over my heart and opened me up to some sort of love and compassion. This was such a foreign concept to me at this point. I'm still in that was back in 1994. I'm still in contact with that guy now. He's much like my father figure at this point in my life, a mentor, a healer, somebody who has made me look at myself, but I've never once felt judged or belittled or pitied by this man. So, and I think that example is very rampant among other men and women in life after hate. We all have very similar experiences.
Thank you for sharing that, Sammy.